All right, guys, it's been kind of a rough couple of hours here, so I wanted to take a minute and talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about the past couple days, which is culture shock and what culture shock means to me. I think it's something that I used to associate with negative things, and when you move to a new country and are put into a position where you don't speak the language, there is a lot of culture shock, but it's not always negative. There's lots of positive culture shock that's also been going on. And especially this afternoon, as we've been dealing with a lot of back and forth with the bank trying to get money so we can finally sign a lease and it not working out the way that we want to, it's really become apparent to me some of the bigger culture shock aspects that happen. So I think I always grew up thinking that culture shock meant that the new culture you were moving to wasn't as good or as sophisticated as the one you were moving from, and that's not it at all. I've been asked, have I experienced culture shock since moving here? And my gut reaction actually is no. And I think that's because a lot of what I've experienced hasn't been bad or negative. It's just different. And a lot of the different has nothing to do with this being Mexico, and actually a lot to do with the fact that this is a city of 22 million people. And I might experience these same things if I moved to New York City, which would be equally as overwhelming in a lot of ways. So some of the things that I can point to from this week are the fact that the transportation here, while amazing and efficient and cheap, is so much crazier than the metro back in DC. Every morning when I get on the bus to go to school, I am jammed in the metro bus like a sardine with everyone else around me. But you know what? Everyone's really cool and nice about it. And there's only a little bit of pushing and shoving. The banking here is definitely one of the more negative aspects of culture shock, but it actually has nothing to do with Mexican banking and everything to do with that the financial system just hasn't caught up with our globalized world. There's not a simple solution for people like David and I who are picking up and moving to a new country, but still maintaining ties back in our home country. For us, that's maintaining our Capital One account back home and our mortgage back home. And so we're really struggling to figure out how that all works. And it's frustrating that the financial world hasn't caught up to how we want to live. And we know that we're not the only people doing this. But other positive aspects of culture shock is that things are just a little more laid back here. Now, that can sometimes mean that I wait 30 minutes for my check. But it also means that people are pretty patient and people wait in line nicely here. And people say, I'm sorry, or please, or when they're trying to pass you on the street, they say, can I pass very nicely? And that's really nice. I don't know, David's behind the camera. What else? Anything else? No, he's shaking his head. He doesn't want to talk. So I think that as we're living here, we're going to experience more culture shock for sure. But it's, in some ways, the biggest shock for me has been the positives that come out of culture shock and not the negatives that come out of culture shock. And yes, I'm thrown into a place where I don't know the language, but it's great that I'm here and learning a new language. And people are really patient with me fumbling through just trying to order coffee. So as we're kind of rounding out our week here, and a really amazing week, but a frustrating afternoon, because we're probably not going to be able to move into our apartment this weekend like we thought, I just wanted to pause and take a minute and talk a little bit about what that culture shock means to me, and I'm sure I'll have an update for everybody else soon. But otherwise, we're headed home to eat, or at least I'm eating. David just had an amazing torta with all sorts of unhealthy things on it, and coming up with a new plan for our weekend, which I'm sure will be lots of touring. So talk to you guys soon. Bye.